What up, Space Fam? Goes in here from AnimeUproar, back at it again to discuss the latest developments in the One Piece story. The title of this chapter builds up the hype so much, telling us that this is the decisive battle between Kaido and Big Mom versus Luffy and the other Supernova. While the last chapter set the stage for the battle, we're told it will intensify this time, and intensification is what we want to see. So make sure to stay tuned for that. If you do enjoy One Piece and want to keep the reviews coming, channel the Pirate King within and smash that like button with no mercy. If you haven't, join the Nakama right now by hitting that subscribe button, and most importantly, hit that notification bell or you will miss future One Piece videos. And while you wait for the next intense chapter to drop, feel free to check out my growing One Piece playlist where I have videos about the Yonko, Warlords, Supernova, and much more. Link to that is in the description. Now without further ado, let's jump into it. As I alluded to, chapter 1001 is called the Decisive Battle of Monsters on Onigashima. On the side of the cover page, we're told that the stage is set at Onigashima and that the battle intensifies. Some people were disappointed by chapter 1000 because there was so much hype and anticipation, and it ended up setting up the stage for this crazy battle rather than giving us huge reveals or a new gear or something like that. I myself liked it because it served to show how far Luffy has come, and it reaffirmed what the whole series is about: Luffy and his unflinching desire to become the Pirate King. Rather than being the climax of the arc, it set the stage for the climactic decisive battle, and from here on out, including in this chapter, we'll be getting more and more of the action we've been so excited to see. So in a sense, I feel like people should be glad Oda didn't rush the battle or anything like that, and now we can actually continue to enjoy the exciting roller coaster ride up to the climax beyond the 1000th chapter, which was great in its own right. So we have the hypest of battlefields here after Luffy just delivered a significant blow to Kaido. Now we're going to find out how significant it truly was. Yonko, Kaido, and Big Mom are shocked that after how easily Kaido beat Luffy last time, he has the gall to still say he's going to become the Pirate King. But Luffy is unflinching and determined as ever, not affected in the least by the screams of Yonko. Kaido admits that the attack damaged him, as the others are impressed by Luffy's advanced use of haki. Kid is shocked that a punch actually damaged Kaido. As I've mentioned before, up to this point, swords seem to be the most effective against his near invincible self, so a punch rattling him like this is pretty epic to see. Killer says this battle is not lost after all, so Luffy is shining here even among all of these Supernova, truly impressing them and giving them hope in an otherwise hopeless seeming mission to defeat two Yonko. That's the insane power of Luffy, both physical but more importantly psychological. Interestingly enough, Law is on a different page, saying he's not gonna let it slide this time. What's he talking about? We'll soon find out. In the meantime, it's so great to see a calm Luffy being contrasted to an out-of-control screaming Big Mom, saying Luffy doesn't even understand what it means to be the Pirate King. And that's something I respect about Luffy. He doesn't overthink things, he just goes for what he wants, for what he's committed to. Why philosophize about what it means to be Pirate King when you could be moving towards the goal? It's a good lesson. Don't get bogged down by overthinking, just keep taking action towards your goal. Then we get an extremely hype scene, one of my favorites in this chapter. Kaido, rattled, briefly equates Luffy to the handful of people that can fight against the Yonko. He sees Luffy's epic figure and pictures 5 figures behind him: Odin, Whitebeard, Goldie Roger, Captain Rocks, and Shanks. Then he asks, are you implying that you are just as great as they are? Clearly, Kaido is reluctant to accept that Luffy is that great, and yet he can't help but associate Luffy with these 5 legendary figures. Luffy gives off that energy. And why these 5 specifically? Notice Big Mom isn't there, along with many other very strong figures like Garp. It doesn't necessarily mean that these guys are the 5 strongest characters in One Piece, but it does suggest that Kaido views these 5, in his mind at least, in a league of their own, and having Shanks in that group is so hype. We know that Shanks somehow managed to get Kaido to turn around when Kaido wanted to kill Whitebeard, and so seeing him here further suggests that that was the result of Shanks' strength. I don't think even Kaido would believe that he could take on 2 of these figures together. So when he was faced with having to fight Shanks before fighting Whitebeard, it was no brainer for him to retreat. I gotta give it to Oda. He is so good at hyping up Shanks and leaving us wanting so much more from him. As soon as he physically appears again in the story, I have no doubt the collective One Piece fanbase will go absolutely crazy. Now we can move on, but let's just appreciate the fact that a Yonko would already associate Luffy in the presence of such legendary company. We see Kaido use Thunder Bagua. Again, this kind of move took out Luffy last time. Now we can see how far he's come. Luffy uses Advanced Observation Haki, aka Future Sight, to foresee the attack. But even with that, he can't avoid it completely. He says Kaido is too fast. So let's just appreciate for a second how insanely fast Kaido is for the big buff guy he is. So props have to go to Kaido for that, but props also have to go to Luffy, who clearly survives the attack and is ready for battle this time, unlike last time. And I enjoy Kaido's reaction here. I like that he smiles and is glad to see that Luffy's putting up a decent fight this time around. It's always more interesting this way than when a villain remains rattled and afraid. And as a Yonko and the so-called strongest creature in the world, Kaido has to put up a respectable fight here. I want Luffy to win, but it has to be believable and satisfying, paying respect to Kaido's Yonko level power. Then Yonko number 2, Big Mom, is about to attack Luffy with Prometheus, but my man Zoro comes in with Kinemon's Foxfire style and slices the giant ball of fire. How cool is it that Luffy and Zoro have come to the point where they're exchanging blows with 2 Yonko? It doesn't get any more exciting than this. Luffy is psyched to see Kinemon's attack, while Zoro says it's his now. You gotta respect his willingness to adopt what works in his style and make it his own, and it also represents how the fiery wills of the Scabbards are still with them, pushing them forward in this battle, even if they're not physically here. It's funny to me how Zoro has to remind Luffy not to let his guard down for a second because they're fighting 2 Yonko, and just as he says that, it looks like Kaido snuck up on Luffy and is gonna get another devastating hit on him. Luckily, the other Supernova are finally coming into play here, and although I love Dragon Ball moments like when Super Saiyan Goku insists on fighting Frieza one-on-one, I also really appreciate stuff like this in One Piece, where the characters recognize how strong 2 Yonko are, and they're okay with working together in bigger numbers in order to try to take them down. They don't need to win one-on-one for it to be a victory. That's where the pirate stuff comes in, and the importance of crewmates and alliances. In accordance with this, Law uses Shambles to transport Luffy to him, and this is by far the funniest moment for me in this chapter. I said last chapter that clearly Luffy was portrayed as the captain and leader because Law followed his orders and sent the Red Scabbards below, and I truly didn't think the matter would come up again, but Law had the same thought and knew exactly how it would look. So he starts telling Luffy that he was gonna send them below anyways, and that because Luffy told him to do the same before he did it, it now looks like Law obeyed Luffy's orders. It's so freaking funny, the rivalry between these 3 captains. But I gotta say, getting upset about such superficial things is not Pirate King energy. Luffy, who doesn't usually care what other people think, responds, "How does that even matter?" which is a much more Pirate King energy response. Still, I absolutely love this scene. It's very realistic and very funny. Law was being bothered by this the whole time, to the point that when everyone was impressed by Luffy punching down a Yonko, Law could only think about how he wouldn't let Luffy's insult to his reputation slide. It is noteworthy that Law refuses to be second or a subordinate to Luffy in any capacity, even if his response here was not very manly. And then Kid gets in on it in the most hilarious way, saying he also thought that Law had finally become Straw Hat's lackey, which only infuriates Law more. Then Kid says it doesn't matter to him if a scrub joins another scrub. This is the unofficial translation, but I do appreciate hearing an insult I haven't heard since my elementary school days when scrub was the go-to insult. I have no idea what it actually means, but it's interesting seeing it pop up again. I also love the fact that Oda makes the time to bring these characters to life with their social interactions rather than just ramming through the action. Oda does this brilliantly in general, and that's what makes us fall in love with and care about these characters, not how strong they are. I will point out that usually there is one person in an interaction who is clearly reacting less to the other, loser, and that person is usually the one with more power, status, and or control in that particular social situation. And one of the recurring things about Luffy is he's usually the more unfazed one. Here, Law is losing it, and Luffy is pretty non-reactive by comparison. He totally didn't give that command about the Red Scabbards a second thought. And I previously mentioned how even the Yonko, especially Big Mom, were reacting way more to Luffy than he was reacting to them. It doesn't mean Luffy is physically stronger, but it does show how even now he behaves like a king even in the presence of two of the strongest pirates in the world. Of course, this usually applies in more serious situations, and sometimes in comedic situations, Luffy can definitely overreact. Big Mom goes on to send 3 fireballs at them, 1 apiece. Here's a part that I look forward to the official translation for, because I'm not gonna lie, kind of confused here with this translation. Luffy appears to say, okay, how about the first person who touches that is the scrub, meaning the fireballs? If that is what he says, then they'd all avoid the balls. But what actually happens is they play a game of chicken where it seems like whoever gets out of the way is the loser and becomes the scrub. And Kid concurs that the game is pointless at a time like this, and similarly insults the other two for even talking about it. And yet, after Luffy says fair enough, you two are the scrubs then, they all remain and get hit by the fireballs. Again, take note of the fact that on paper, the other two talk like they're not going to follow Luffy's orders, but Luffy decided the criteria for the game and they ended up following it. This is a microcosm of why Luffy is destined to become the Pirate King and not the other two, since despite not liking it and not being willing to admit it, they do often follow his lead. It's hilarious to see Zoro getting angry, asking them what in the world are they doing. You gotta respect them, although it is stupid that they are messing around in the face of 2 Yonko. Clearly none of them are that intimidated if they have the time to mess around like that. Kaido tells Big Mom to stand back, and she comments that he's playing with his food again. I think in Kaido's mind, he is more sure of himself taking on Big Mom than he is taking on those 5 characters he thought of when he looked at Luffy. That's why Big Mom wasn't one of them, and probably why he feels comfortable teaming up with her, since he thinks that he can take care of her later. Here, he's clearly okay with giving orders to Big Mom, and Big Mom actually goes with it for a while. Keep in mind, she said Luffy was hers before, but clearly Kaido's been getting more chances to fight with him here. Zoro recognized Killer as the Manslayer, and of course Zoro beat him in the past. Zoro puts his bandana on, so you know things are getting serious. It's funny here because these two have a similar rivalry as Kid and Luffy, and Killer says that he would have beaten Zoro if he had his Punishers back then, meaning his weapons of choice. Zoro retorts it would have ended the same regardless, and I for one obviously think Killer isn't on Zoro's level, but I like that at least Killer acts competitive. I'm enjoying the rivalries even as they fight on the same side. Both these Supernova take shots at Kaido, and I've been saying that I think Zoro is gonna cut Kaido, but this is not that moment. There are pressure marks left on Kaido's neck, but it didn't break the skin, and Kaido isn't surprised he expected as much from these two. These are definitely not Oden cuts yet. Nevertheless, the Oden comparison is very significant here. Zoro says to himself that he needs to release more of Enma's power, and Enma was wielded by none other than Oden and was one of the weapons he used to injure Kaido. This blade will no doubt play a part in his eventual defeat. Enma is a reference to a god who presides over hell. This god is the personification of death like the Shinigami. We know how big mythology is for Oda, who used mythology as the inspiration for Kaido's Gyarados Devil Fruit. Is it not fitting then for Oden's blade, and a blade that mythologically represents death, to play a role in beating or maybe killing a seemingly invincible mythical creature? The symbolism is too heavy to pass up in my opinion. And Zoro is clearly not shaken here, and he will, as he says, release more of Enma's power. That is inevitable. However, for now we jump back to the Supernova captains, and Luffy is overconfident as usual here, saying he'll settle this fight in an instant. We get a great moment where all 3 Supernova captains prepare to attack Kaido together in a combo chain. Kaido smiles and welcomes them to bring it on. He calls the brats little monsters, which is a sign of respect, but patronizing at the same time, as if they can't compete with the big or real monsters like Kaido. They all take different approaches. Luffy, his straightforward one that already hurt Kaido. Kid will try crushing him with that makeshift mecha of his, and Law says he'll take him apart from within. Probably the most interesting strategy. Kaido then gets hit by Luffy with the Kong gun, an attack that could punch around King Kong himself. Kid then uses Punk Vice to seemingly crush the Yonko, and Law uses Tact to drop large boulders on him. This epic combo from out of our fanboy dreams does not do much though. Big Mom laughs, and then Kaido laughs and comes out in his dragon form. I'm not sure why he'd switch to this form, and we'll see how he plans to fight with it next chapter, but not gonna lie, I kind of wanted him to stay in his humanoid form. What the transformation is good for though is creating an epic panel where our guys on the bottom of the panel are completely overwhelmed visually by Kaido and Big Mom towering over them and taking a large portion of the upper half of the panel. The panel shows us what our Supernova are seeing from their perspectives and symbolically shows how difficult the task they are attempting to undertake will be. This literally looks like humans associated with Earth attempting to challenge the gods associated with the skies or heavens. Kaido then says it's a shame he has to kill them, but it can't be helped. He's no longer trying to make them his subordinates. He now 100% plans to kill them. And what's more, to take everything they have, including their friends, treasure, poneglyphs, and so on. As Kaido says, the victor of this battle will take a massive step towards becoming the Pirate King. And we're told this is an inevitable clash as we see a close-up of Kaido and then Luffy. Clearly, they are the centerpieces of this intense battle. I don't have to tell you how crazy or hype this is. It's so awesome to see Kaido finally taking them seriously, even saying the victor of this battle rather than saying I'll take a massive step to become the Pirate King. And we know that Luffy beating a Yonko will be an insanely massive leap towards becoming Pirate King, but the fact that even a Yonko feels that beating him will get the Yonko massively closer shows how much respect Luffy has earned and how far he has come. The inevitable clash comment is a nice addition too, because not everyone can be the Pirate King, and since everyone wants it, eventually you have to clash with others who also want it until one remains. They are all trying to turn their dream into a reality. The only question is who will manifest their will into the world, who has the most powerful will, the most unwavering commitment. Although you could argue that will can't overcome the gap in natural talent and strength, One Piece has shown time and time again that those with the strongest will find a way to make the impossible possible as they go. Even if they don't know how they'll get there, they trust in themselves that they'll figure it out if they don't give up and keep moving forward. Luffy's story is beyond inspirational, and as I mentioned, even though these chapters are good in and of themselves, they are leading to better and more intense ones as we move forward, which is a good thing, because now that Kaido messed around with them a bit, we can expect to see more serious fighting moving forward. And let's appreciate that this whole chapter followed the insanely intense and epic happenings on the roof. Moving forward, these guys are probably going to be sharing chapters with the non-main battles taking place, which is cool. They're all going to be interesting in their own right, I'm sure of that. But we all know this is the main event we've been dying to see. But yeah, I had more to say about this chapter than I thought I would. So thank you to everyone who stayed tuned until the very end. If you did enjoy and want to keep the One Piece reviews coming, the best thing you could do is smash that like button like a true Pirate King. If you haven't, be sure to join the Nakama by subscribing, and this is crucial, hit that notification bell or else you will miss future chapter reviews. It appears there will be a break next week, but never fear, while you wait for the next intense chapter to drop, feel free to check out my growing One Piece playlist where I got videos about the Yonko, Warlords, Supernova, and other truly epic topics. Link to that playlist is in the description. And I especially want to thank the Patreon squad over on Patreon and here on YouTube who help make videos like this one possible. First and foremost, I want to thank the Patron of Legend, the one acknowledged by Lord Twigo himself, and the most donated champion of the world, Alpha Sigma. And are the 1-tier patrons, the ones who stand atop all clans, Ingrata, The World, Acquire Respect, Pate Hefa Rithian, Emperor Otaku, Spidey Life Tanel, Baked Buddhist, and Tungsten Tarkus. And our Pro Hero tier patrons, the one and only Gilgamesh, Steelers, Angel Cruz, Anatoly Kazatsky, Joe Stanton, Barry Gucci, Jessica Kayla Fond, Rithuan Deora, Alicia Actor, Bonnie Parks, Hinokami and Water, The Red-Haired Raven, Florian, Joanne Garcia, Jack Watches Anime, Fatboy Games, Deadly Saint, Matthew Cruz, Anthony Schreiber, Hijinks, and Mr. Waffles. Thank you all so much. If you do enjoy our work, you can support more of it by going over to patreon.com/AnimeUproar and becoming a patron today for as little as $1. If you do so, you'll get your name featured in future videos alongside these amazing people right here, and you'll even get access to our private patron-only Discord where we talk about anime life and of course dank memes. So check out patreon.com/AnimeUproar, link in the description if you're interested. You can also join the YouTube channel by clicking that blue join button next to the subscribe button that you've hopefully already destroyed. So yeah, you can support more content that way if you prefer. Whichever way you choose to support us, you can get the same great benefits. Thanks again, and until next time, see ya, Space Cowboys.